Today on What It's Like, 1970 Dodge Challenger versus 2013 Dodge Challenger SRT8 Core Edition. Find out which one is the better of the two options. Would you rather have old school versus new school on this episode of What It's Like? But before getting into all of that, I am Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. This channel, we feature the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars off the beaten path. We dive in deep, give perceptions as well as perspectives, period correct ads, as well as specs. If that sounds of interest to you, subscribe. Hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. Before getting into the original versus retro comparison, if you dig this channel and you dig this episode, please give us a like so more people can see this video in the future. So let's start with a bit of an overview, starting with the 1970 Challenger. It was the very first year of the very first generation of Challenger, which ran from 1970 to 1974. Technically, the Challenger name started in 1959. They offered a trim variant called the Dodge Silver Challenger. Back to the 70s Challenger, it was offered in 6 flavors with 9 engines on offer, ranging from the Slant 6 198 all the way up to the 440 Magnum / 426 Hemi. Moving to the 2013 Challenger SRT8 Core, which is considered third generation, which was produced from 2008 to present. 2013 model year consisted of the V6 engine in the basement and then 392 at the top. Core means base model, but gives you the 392 V8. SRT stands for Street Racing Technology. SRT8 stands for Street Racing Technology V8. Let's dive in deep with the specs, starting with the 70 Challenger. 191.3 inches long, 76.5 inches wide, 51.5 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 110 inches, weighs 3,005 pounds. Price was $3,265, which is equivalent to you spending $24,922.64 in the year 2022. Okay, moving on to the 2013 Challenger SRT 392 Core Edition. That's a mouthful. 197.7 inches long, 75.7 inches wide, 57.1 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 116 inches, weighs 4,950 pounds. Price $38,995, which was equivalent to you spending $49,576.48 in the year 2022. So when you put the specs side by side and you're looking at the numbers on paper, it's very interesting. The 2013 Challenger weighs almost a ton more than the original one, 1,945 pounds more to be exact, and is bigger in every way except for one. Moving on to engines. Now, just to clarify, we are only going to talk about the engines that are in these cars presently, not every single engine on offer. Starting with the 1970 Dodge Challenger 440 cubic inch displacement Magnum V8, 7.2 liters, makes 375 horsepower at 4,600 RPM, 480 foot-pounds of torque at 3,200 RPM. Compression is 10-1. 2013 Core Edition has the 392 cubic inch displacement Hemi V8, 6.4 liters, makes 470 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 470 pound-feet of torque at 4,200 RPM. Compression is 10.9-1. Let's talk transmission. In the 1970 Dodge Challenger, it's a 4-speed manual. In our 2013 Dodge Challenger, it's a 6-speed manual. Let's talk about front design for both of these cars. These cars are very similar, even though that they were built decades apart from one another. Just look at the nose treatment or the hood treatment on this one in relationship to this one. It's almost a carbon copy. I mean, they put plastic bits in here. They both got plastic bits in here, but the nose, I call this the nose because it kind of sort of looks like a nose. It's a bit wider on the older. It's a bit wider on the 70 than it is on the 2013. But the design is still there. And coming down here to the front fascia, On the 70, it's all chrome, metal everywhere. Even the grill is plastic, but it's all chrome, all metal. Over here, it's all plastic. Like, look at this. This has always been my biggest gripe about new cars, is this. Look, I can push that in. Over here, it doesn't move when I touch it. That's always been my biggest gripe about new cars, is they're just plastic, you know? But it's all in what you're into. Like, all of this is just plastic. They've added a splitter down here, whereas on the original car didn't have a splitter. Old one does not look that much different than the new one. Getting into the Challenger, notice where the keyhole is on the Challenger in reference to the door handle. The door handle is only part of this. Coming over here to the 2013 Challenger, before getting inside, let's take a look at this. This locks and unlocks the door, and this is the door handle. Notice the keyhole is cut out of the door handle. The door handle moves freely. The door lock is inside the door itself. I don't know, it looks interesting. Let's talk about this door panel. Just check out the materials used. It's a lot of plastic. There's lines everywhere on this door panel. This is to lock and unlock right there. This is the door handle to pull it shut. This is fake wood, it's not real. Door handle to get out. This is the window crank for the big window. Just notice how that operates, and it's also curved. Joystick style mirror that controls the mirror movement. Coming down inside this pedal box down here, emergency brake pedal, emergency brake release, high beam switch, clutch brake gas pedal. Climate control settings are right above that, driver focused. And what I mean by climate control settings, it's more or less like ventilation and heat. Here, let's talk about this door panel. Notice there are similar lines in this door panel. Totally different construction materials. Plastic at the top here. This feels like a cloth, the same kind of cloth that the seats are made out of. Down here, this feels like a leatherette or fake leather, and it's nice and plush. Nice door handle to pull the door shut. Lots more controls on this door panel. You have controls for both driver and passenger side remote mirrors, and they are electric as to joystick. Unlock and lock the doors. Both the windows are auto for the driver and passenger side. These ones don't go down, they're fixed. The old school Challenger, these windows go down. But on the new school, they're fixed in place. Down here you got storage compartments for various things. There's nothing in here. The center is blocked out. It's like a partition, a divide, if you will. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, this is the electric parking brake, trunk release, emergency brake, hood release, clutch, brake, gas pedal. All right, getting inside of the Dodge Challenger, very straightforward. Just kind of hop on in. That's what that sounds like when it closes. This is over the hood impression. Here's what first person over the hood would look like. Lots of space underneath this steering wheel. This steering wheel is fixed, does not move. Getting inside is pretty straightforward. Just climb on in. That's what the door sounds like when it's closed. Here's an over the hood impression. Here's first person impression. Here's what underneath the steering wheel looks like. Moving up to the sun visors. No courtesy mirrors. They are nice and padded. Daytime, nighttime mirror in the middle here. Rear view mirror. Here is the other sun visor. There is no courtesy mirrors on that one as well. Up above here, got beautiful, these are nicely padded sun visors, as well as they have this adjust feature so they could get bigger. So when you flip it this way, that helps out. It's also nice vanity mirrors with lights so you can see yourself at night. Over here in the center, daytime, nighttime style rear view mirror. Over here, there's another sun visor with courtesy mirrors as well, so that the passenger can see themselves at night as well. This is a good place for your sunglasses. Here's the lights. So you have panel dimmer here and headlights. The headlight switch, when you flip it up, the first thing that comes on is the light. Now these gauges aren't backlit. The light is actually up inside here. So the light just lets you see the gauges, which I think is very interesting. And then you flip if you flip the light switch up one more time, that turns on the actual lights. There is that red dot in the center in between 70 and 80 miles an hour indicates that you have your high beams on. High beam switches on the floor, where it should be in my opinion. There are a lot more button switches and knobs in the newer Challenger than there are in the old Challenger. The headlight switch is over here, and these ones are backlit. So to turn on the headlights, the parking lights right there, headlights are right there. This one here controls the panel dimmer. So that's super dim, that's super bright. Lots of button switches and knobs on the steering wheel. These ones all control the cruise control on and off, resume, set, cancel. Over here has to do with Bluetooth connectivity, as well as different menus that you can go into, which show up on the bottom of the speedometer. Here's what I look like behind the wheel of the 1970 Dodge Challenger. Lots of headroom. Seats are very comfortable in this. They are very springy seats. These seats aren't supposed to be in this car. Evidently, they're Mustang seats. And they kind of feel like Mustang seats. Sitting inside the Challenger, lots of headroom. There's as much headroom in this as there is in a 56 Buick. Lots of headroom. Let's talk about this shifter. When driving this car, it's very notchy. I love the fact that this is a pistol grip shifter. It's just, the throws aren't that far apart, and sometimes it's hard to tell where you are. And sometimes it's really hard to find reverse, because reverse is all the way over here. Sometimes you go to put it in first because it's so notchy, and that's just a characteristic of the pistol grip shifter. Plus, who knows what aftermarket thing is in this as far as shifter kit goes, but once you drive it and get used to it, it gets better. Here, this car has a center console, which is right back here, and that's what that looks like. Here's what the keys look like. For the most part, keys always looked really cool. They're different. Let's talk center stack. There's a lot going on here. This is your information center whenever it's on. This is for climate controls. All of this is for climate controls. You have the auto mode, as well as fan speeds, temperature, where you'd like the air to go, four-way hazards, traction control. This car has a 6-speed manual shift transmission that is really close together. My biggest gripe with it is I don't like where reverse is, because okay, first is here, third, fifth is right here. If you miss fifth and go over here, that's reverse. There's no lockout. I don't know why companies do that, but man, it would be great
if you put some sort of dog leg or something in there, or some sort of gate where you have to push down and physically be in reverse. There's nothing worse than thinking you're in a gear that's anything other than reverse, but you let the clutch out and blow out reverse. I have no idea why people do that. Coming back from there, cup holder, a place to put stuff, center console here. It's pretty deep. This one has a stop start button, and notice if it goes bad, if the battery goes bad, this plug fits right inside here. So if it goes bad, you just take this out, and this is where the key goes. It goes right inside here. It has the same exact thing. I always wondered how that works. All right, getting in the rear seat of the 70 Challenger. So that's all the space that you have to get back there. You have to push this forward. So that's as much space as you got to get back there. In the back seat of the 70 Challenger, headroom is adequate. It's not that great. There is negative knee space. My knees are going well past the back of the seat. That's how much space relatively you have. Just enough space to put my hand here if the seats are in the position that they would be if I was driving the car. Back here, there isn't that many creature comforts. There are armrests. It's just more or less like an elbow rest, really. There's no center armrest, center console back here of any kind. These windows in the back, they do go down. So that's what they look like going down. This is what the back to front view looks like from the back seat. Nice dome light right above there. Getting in the back seat, pull this handle forward, and that releases the back of the seat to slide forward, but that is all the area that you have to get back there. So if you're bigger, you have to move the seat forward. Why they wouldn't make this a feature of just moving the seat forward, this is 2013, is beyond me. Another thing that I don't really like is this seat belt. You have to move the seat belt out of the way in order to get back there. But let's get back there. Back in the rear seat, it's actually not so bad. It's more comfortable sitting in the back of this seat than it is sitting in the 70 Challenger, that is for sure. Let me move the seat back and see how much room there is for our knees. So right now the seat is not in the position that it would be if I was driving it. I got lots of knee room, but if you look over here, this seat was perpendicular to the seat that I was sitting in, so it was exactly level with this seat, and that is how much room that you would have. I can't put this seat back because I will be trapped back here, because when you move, this button releases the seat forward to fold forward, but it doesn't move the seat bottom on the track forward. I would be stuck back here. So you got to keep that in mind every time somebody sits in the back seat of your Challenger. If you have automatic seats, that is something that you have to do every single time, is you have to push the button back, find the seat position that you like, and adjust your seat accordingly, unless they get in the passenger side every time. If you have two kids, that might not be a possibility. But I'm going to slide over. I'm going to slide over to the passenger side and show you what that's like. So negative knee space over here. There isn't enough room to really sit over on this side. Here's my other knee, so you can see what that's like. Nice coat hooks back here. There's one on each side, as well as recessed lighting. Armrest back here. Window does not go down, they are fixed. Seatbelts are placed back here on both sides, and they retract back up inside the roof. Nice map pockets for the rear passengers. Climate vents for the rear passengers. Map pockets on this side for the passengers in the rear. This is a look from back to front. This is what the front looks like from the back. So just check out the 70 Challenger gas tank. Look at how that operates. It's metal. This is what the gas cap looks like. And that's where the gas goes. The gas filler, it opens like this, and it looks just like the one on the 70s. It just has this newer modern style filler, whereas that one has an old school cap. And this is plastic, or at least it feels plastic. All right, coming back here to the trunk section. Just turn the key and it pops the hatch. Nice big trunk. This one's got a fire extinguisher in it, because you never know when you're gonna need that. This one also comes with some trim parts. But just check out how big that trunk is. Coming back here to the trunk section, I already popped the trunk in the driver's side footwell. So just check out your trunk space. It goes back quite a ways too. So just notice how deep that is. The load floor is kind of high. I'm going to take a step back here so you can see what the trunk looks like in its entirety. I'm 6'2", and the load area comes up to my thigh. So just giving you a heads up of where that goes. We're coming up to the under the hood section. This car has hood pins. So you just take the pins out, and they're attached to these strings. So whenever you put the pins down, you don't lose the pins. In theory, I had a Mustang that had these, and I still lost pins every now and then. Coming down inside here, getting underneath the hood, a lot of people think that this is the only one. Well, that has a lot to do with it, but there is another lever over here that slides. So you slide it to the left, and then you pick up on this, and then the hood opens. This one's got a 440 under the hood. Biggest engine Mopar made. It's not the Hemi, but it has pretty good giddy up and go. Check out the coil. Check out the horns. The under the hood section, I already popped the hood in the driver's side footwell. Then coming up here, it's kind of sort of in the center, but it's down. So you move it to the left and pull up. And there you have it. 392 Hemi. Let's talk driving experience. The 70 Challenger rides a bit floaty, but it's not like a 62 Bel Air or a Mark V Lincoln, but it's not stiff like a 67 Mustang or a 52 Chevy truck. It's somewhere in the middle. The ride is very similar to, like, say, a 62 Plymouth Savoy. Power steering turns this car effortlessly. I'm not a fan of the clutch in this car. It's super stiff, tons of travel. It engages about halfway point, but it's heavy and it's super spring loaded. I reviewed this car and the comment section said that it might have a race clutch, would totally make sense because that is what it drives like. It drives like a race clutch, drives in a straight line. The power and the sound is absolutely amazing, but it's a really hard car to drive and hook up properly. Honestly, it's probably not the car. It's probably the mechanics and all of that other stuff. Like, it just it's hard to drive fast, this car is. All right, we're in second gear. We're gonna give her the beans getting onto the highway here. I just love the exhaust note in this. It doesn't sound as beefy as the 440 in the 70, but it definitely gets it a whole lot better than the 440 big block does. So smooth. The transition of power is so smooth, and when you get it in the sixth gear, it's overdrive and it really brings it down. We're going 80 miles an hour right now. The engine's turning 2,000 RPM, which is incredible. Let's talk 2013 Challenger driving experience. This thing gets up and gets it. The sound when you're at speed is rewarding. This car is very planted. It definitely feels bigger, especially wider than the original. The pickup is better. It's just easier to drive. The clutch is very linear. There's no tricks. It just works. This gearbox isn't notchy, so it makes it even easier to shift, and the shifts are so much better and it hooks up better in the newer Challenger. I do, however, hate where reverse is, because if you miss fifth and go into reverse, which is very easy to do because it doesn't have a lockout, that could be very catastrophic. And transmissions in new cars aren't cheap. But that's just my opinion. The newer Challenger is more isolated from the road because it has way more sound deafening materials in it than the older original Challenger does. But those are just my takes on it. This might be a shock to you. I'm a huge classic car fan, but if it came down to me picking which one would I pick between the two of these cars that were represented today, I would go with the 2013 Challenger because it's just easier to live with. It's easier to drive. It hooks up better. And that pains me because I'm a classic car guy through and through, but Challenger was one of the hardest cars that I've ever driven because it's just not hooked up right, I don't think. But anyway, that's the car that I would pick. Which one would you pick in the comment section below? All right, on to Name That Tune. First person to give me the correct name of band as well as song title, first one to do both correctly will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. That song, just like these cars, has a totally cool vibe. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. I appreciate all of the support, and until next time, toodaloo!